So, as per usual, for the weeks leading up to E3, we have had yet another game leak prior to its announcement, and it is of course none other than Watch Dogs 3, or should I say Watch Dogs Legion, because apparently that's going to be the new name for this brand new third entry into the Watch Dogs franchise. You guys know I'm a big fan of the Watch Dogs games. The first game I think is a bit underappreciated. It's not perfect, but I certainly had a good time playing it, and you know, Watch Dogs 2 for me was one of the best games of 2016. I adored that game. I had such a blast playing it, and so I've always been looking forward to this third game. Obviously, it's now been almost 3 years since Watch Dogs 2, so I think we were kind of due for another entry into this franchise, and you know, based off of the apparent leaks that we've got right now, this could be very, very interesting. So according to the leaks, the Watch Dogs 3 will take place in a near-future dystopian version of London. Now, the setting of London, for me, isn't really that, I would say, new, because there was a post-credit scene that was added into the end of Watch Dogs 2, which basically confirmed that if we were going to get a sequel, that it would take place in London. So that doesn't really, you know, strike me as new. But what does, however, is near future dystopian. So it looks as if we're going to definitely be taking a bit more of an outlandish time jump, because obviously the Watch Dogs games have tried to stay relatively modern, but it seems as if this is maybe going to go for a bit more of a futuristic take. Again, that is quite interesting to me, just seeing how they're trying to really make this feel different compared to the other two games. So that does interest me. I'm definitely hoping that they can use that to advantage, especially from a gameplay standpoint. Hopefully it opens up a few more opportunities with that. Now, this was actually leaked on Amazon, of course, the UK version of all places. Now, if you guys cast you back to about this time last year, there was, of course, that massive Amazon leak where basically a load of games that ended up getting revealed at E3 in 2018 were actually leaked on Amazon a few weeks beforehand. Now, obviously, some of these games that were included on that leak didn't end up, you know, coming into fruition, but some of those games actually did. I think one of them was Rage 2, and there's probably some other games that I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but it shows that things like this have happened before, and so there's definitely a good possibility that this could be a similar case scenario with what is happening with the Watch Dogs Legion leaks happening so close to E3. And just to continue on with the product description that was left for the item on Amazon UK, it states, of course, Watch Dogs Legion is set in the near future dystopian version of London. It's a post-Brexit world in which society and politics and technology have changed and altered London's fortunes. London is one of the most iconic cities in the world and has had a massive influence on all of Western culture for centuries. London makes total sense for Watch Dogs, as the city has one of the highest surveillance levels in the world, making us the perfect playground. Now, that is very much interesting in of itself, and that was always one of the things that for me really drew me towards London as a setting, was the fact that obviously, you know, for factually wise, it's one of the most heavily surveillance cities in the world. So that automatically, with the whole idea of Watch Dogs and surveillance and privacy, very much plays into those kind of themes. That them taking into a more near future dystopian setting, very different, very much interested in that. Post Brexit though, I mean, we've had enough politics here in the UK. I mean, anybody who's living outside the UK and's basically not been following Brexit, basically it's been a humongous farce, and you know, I am slightly, maybe a little bit worried about that, but then again, with Watch Dogs 2 and what they did with the political undertones of that in that game, I think they handled it in such a brilliant way. So if they go about it the same way in Watch Dogs Legion, then I really don't have that many concerns about it. I just hope they don't actually take it incredibly seriously, because that's when I feel like you start to run the risk of it just getting it a little bit too PC for my liking. But I mean, like I say, I'm interested to see what they do with it, just because of the tone that Watch Dogs has seemed to adapt for itself, you know, not taking itself seriously, being very light-hearted. And on the about section of the product, it basically gave a bit more information about the gameplay, but the very interesting one is that it says that players can assume the role of any NPC in the game, and it states every individual you meet in the open world has a full set of animations, voiceover, character traits, and visuals that are generated and guided by gameplay systems. And apparently I read somewhere else as well, that this was the reason that the game has taken a bit longer than usual to release, was due to this new added feature, because of how, you know, technically complex it is. Now, this is the one thing that I'm very unsure about with these sets of leaks. I do like the stories of the Watch Dogs games, and I really do want them to be intact, and I want to have a set of characters that I can, you know, relate to and have a story that I care about. Whereas this idea of having you take control of random NPCs, I'm just not quite sure about it, just from a story standpoint, because I'm quite old-fashioned in that way. I just really like my good stories in games, and so I feel like with the announcement of this, it kind of makes me feel as if they're going a little bit astray of that. But again, you know, we've not really seen anything. We don't know if this is 100% or not, but you know, it remains to be seen. And you know, if this does end up coming into fruition, I'm not sure how to feel about it. Maybe I'll prefer it if it actually is in the game, and once I get a hold of it, I'll enjoy it more. But it remains to be seen. And Kotaku claims that the leak's accurate. It states that players will see things at different points in the game depending on which NPC you're playing as. And then basically, while no release date was given on the page, it basically states that, you know, it's a PS4 game, which basically means it's going to come to Xbox One as well, and PC. So that's no real surprise, given that with the window that this game will probably be releasing in, which is late 2019 to early 2020, not going to come on the next Xbox or PlayStation, so that's no real surprise there. But yeah, that's kind of it for the news roundup and this video as a whole. I will leave a link to the article that I've just based all this information in the video off of. It's the IGN version of the article, so you want to go ahead and read it, go ahead and click on it down below. In terms of my overall impressions on it, yeah, it seems very cool and very interesting. Of course, well, I'm looking forward to it regardless, because I do love the Watch Dogs games, and it looks very outlandish and out there and very different from the first two games, which I do like to see. The only thing, like I said, that has me majorly worried is the whole being able to play as any NPC. It remains to be seen, and we'll see what the final product is, and I'll reserve judgment for when we hopefully get a reveal of it, maybe next week, just before E3 or at E3 itself, and of course when I eventually get to play the game. So yeah, I want to thank you very much for watching this short video. Of course, let me know in the comment section down below if you're excited for Watch Dogs 3 or Watch Dogs Legion, whatever you want to call it. Let me know all about that down below. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I'll hope to see you all again for the next video. Goodbye.